Live from Smitty1.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Take a lap.
You are watching the Fantasy Football Show. Good people, thank you for joining me, and we've got a lot to talk about, a lot of news, a lot of notes, a lot of Kyler Murray, a lot of Deshaun Watson, some Joey B. You name it, we're going to talk about it. If it's in the news, we're going to tackle it. We've got Joshua first in the building, Kenny second in the building. Notification gang is flooding in. Philip, Ball is Life, Champs Mealy, Tariq, and Spacula all first in the door. I have to call it quits at some point, okay, guys? I can't keep calling all of you Notification gang out because you guys rock. Now, we've got a lot to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. And as you know, I don't map out my shows very much. I like doing it kind of wing style. I just wing it. And honestly, the first thing I feel like talking about, just to get it out of the way, Joe Burrow suffered a knee injury in the Super Bowl that won't require surgery, according to Ian Rappaport. So that's good news. He'll have to rehab it, but the sprain shouldn't drastically alter his offseason. That is fantastic news. He did come back up onto the field after the injury. It did look like a torn ACL when he first did it because his knee was like this, and then somebody bent it back, and it looked like there was not much leeway there for that ACL. So we were scared. It was the other knee, which was I would say good news, because that knee has not been damaged or injured. Sometimes you can re-injure the same knee, and so probably a blessing in disguise that happened to his other knee. But that's out of the way. Now we got to get to this Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray situation, because this one's crazy, and I'm going to put both pieces of news up. There's a thought in my mind that Kyler Murray could be on the move, and I've told you guys about that and told you my thoughts and expressed my concerns for Kyler Murray and talked a lot about why a deal needs to happen, and I'm going to go over all that in a second. But first, I'm going to say this. There is a shot Deshaun Watson will play for the Houston Texans in 2022. As I talked about in previous live streams, this has been kind of steamrolling lately. The news, the Deshaun Watson talk. Deshaun Watson was put on the bench and paid in 2021. And he was paid $10 million to sit on his rear end and not play football. You know, good for him. I'm sure he wanted to be on the field. I'm sure that's not how he wanted his 2021 season to unfold. But they paid him $10 million to sit on his butt and do nothing. Deshaun Watson, Lovie Smith's there now. I don't know that changes much, but a lot of people are suggesting that Lovie Smith is pushing very hard to get Deshaun Watson back on the field in 2022, to not explore a trade, to go down the avenue that is Deshaun Watson in a Houston, Texas uniform. And there's a lot of reasons why he will return to football in 2022, assuming the legal matters don't cook up and get crazy, which they fully could. Okay, so I'll explain all this in detail. Number one, there's so many angles, so many different ways this could go, so many different lenses you could look at this thing from. And nobody knows for certain what's going to happen. So if somebody comes out and says he's playing, they don't know. Literally delete that person from your advice giving process and information gathering process. Just delete them. Delete them. They don't know. Don't say you know. You don't know. Deshaun Watson cannot sit 2022 on the bench like he did in 2021, because instead of $10 million, the team will pay him $35. $35 million to sit on the bench. Not going to happen. He's either getting traded or he will play, which in a way is super ridiculous, because this team, this organization, the Houston Texans, put this man on the bench. They put this man on the bench for 2021. Nothing has changed at all. Nothing has changed at all in the case. It's like sitting there dormant. And now they're going to bring him back? Under what reason? What reason can you possibly explain other than money that afforded you the ability to sit this man in 2021 with no update or different information to bring him back in 2022? It makes no sense. The Texans, this owner, it sounds like they want to bury Deshaun Watson and just, burn the whole house down. $35 million is a different story and tale than $10 million. So if a trade does not happen and legally he can play, if he's not looking at Commissioner Roger Goodell putting him on the exempt list, which can only happen if a criminal investigation opens up, because currently under the new NFL rules, it was bargained that now you can't be put on the Commissioner exempt list for a civil situation. The Deshaun Watson situation currently, as of this moment, is a civil situation. But that does not mean that it cannot turn into a criminal situation. A lot of people think they know what they're talking about on this topic, but they don't. The bottom line is it can turn criminal at any moment because the criminal is awaiting the civil. The civil has all the evidence that the criminal investigation would use and consume and utilize to convict or go after Deshaun Watson from a criminal perspective. So when somebody tells you, hey, Smitty, they would have already opened a criminal investigation, there's no case. There is a case. There is a case. The problem is this man can't play football if this criminal piece of it moves and advances forward. So know that. But we don't know if it can. We don't know if it can. We don't know if it will. We don't know if it can. We don't know if there will be some kind of impeding upon his season with this criminal or this civil situation. 20 plus cases, 20 plus individuals accusing Deshaun Watson of a whole list of things. And we don't know what that looks like for the season. Will it all get delayed for a year? Will nothing actually happen for another year? Will it just sit there? Is it all about money for every single one of these individuals? Or are there 1, 2, or 3 of them that really don't care as much about the money? They're involved. They got pulled in by this one single attorney who has corralled them all together in one joint effort. But 20 plus individual cases, there is a reason that teams are gun shy about trading for him. Look, if you're the Cardinals and you're tired of crybaby Kyler Murray, which we're going to get to in a second, Deshaun Watson would be a phenomenal snag. And Arizona fans want it, and I'll talk about that in a second. Arizona fans want Kyler Murray sent packing to go cry in Houston for Deshaun Watson, but teams are worried about it. Teams don't want to pay multiple first rounders for a player that could be taken off the board entirely, not just for 2022, but for the rest of his career. The rest of his career. Hit the thumbs up, says Gold Rush. Do what Gold Rush is saying. Punch the thumbs up. Tell your people about the show. Send out the link. Let's go. I can sit on the bench way better than Watson for less. CJ will take less than 35 mil. But my point is Watson can't sit the bench. The Texans can't afford it. They can't. They're not going to release him. They don't want to give him that kind of satisfaction. They're not going to release him. They can't release him. There's a lot of reasons why they can't release him. They can't release him. They can't sit him for 2022 like they did 2021 because it's $35 million to sit versus 10. 10 was ridiculous enough. Now it's 35. And maybe, we don't know the details, maybe Roger Goodell said to them, you better put him on the bench. I can't use the commissioner exempt list because it's only civil. So you need to take action or else. We don't know. We don't know the inner workings of the NFL and what Roger Goodell is actually capable of forcing a team to do. Like, let's be honest. Let's not act like everybody calling the NFL this corrupt system right now. Okay, and it's rigged, and the referees, and like if you think all that could be possible, if you don't think Roger Goodell can circumvent his own rules and say, look, you better put Deshaun Watson on the bench for the season. If you don't think he could do that, you're crazy. So first and foremost, we have voicemails piling in. By the way, voicemails piling in. Keep them coming. Because we'll be doing a voicemail segment right here in a second. Let me put that up here so you guys have the information you need.
It's voicemail time. Drop a voicemail at the Fantasy Football Show on the gram. Tell your grandma.
He'll punch you in the throat.
So, Watson is going to play for Houston in 2022 if a deal doesn't get done. The Arizona Cardinals should be looking hard at making a trade offer for Deshaun Watson because this man, Kyler Murray, is a crybaby. This man, Kyler Murray, it is very well known that this man is not the answer in Arizona, because his teammates are fed up with him. There's all kinds of reports coming out left and right that the dude sits in his own little space in the locker room before a game, pops in the ear pods and ignores everybody around him. He doesn't motivate. He doesn't try and get people to elevate their game. He doesn't try and talk people up or try and game plan or give good speeches or walk around the locker room and pat people on the back and start screaming and yelling and motivating. This is what we need out of a quarterback. And if I was a quarterback in the NFL, like I'm a quarterback of the show, okay? I'm a commander of the fantasy football show. If I just walked out here with my ear pods in and didn't talk to all of you or motivate you about your season, what kind of leader would I be? I don't understand why Kyler Murray finds this so difficult. You are a leader. I don't care what he thinks he is. I hate when people say, well, I'm just a quarterback, I'm not supposed to be a leader, or I'm an NFL athlete, I'm not a role model. You are what you are, and you choose a profession or a line of business within a profession, in this case, i.e. Kyler Murray, a quarterback. It comes with responsibilities, and Kyler Murray doesn't know how to utilize or grow these responsibilities or become the leader he needs to become. He sits to himself, keeps to himself, doesn't engage with his own people, doesn't engage with his own teammates, doesn't motivate his own teammates like Joe Burrow. In this report where Joe Burrow rehabbing his ACL, there's talk out there, I think it was Rappaport that talked about it, where he said that Joe Burrow was motivating and leading when he was doing his rehab. He was in there with all the people assisting him with his rehab saying, you guys are going to be an integral part of my comeback, motivating, bringing these people in. They're sitting there rehabbing Joe Burrow as if they're about to win the Super Bowl while rehabbing his knee. This man is bringing everybody in, bringing everybody together, elevating everybody so that every single component, every single piece of the spider web that connects to him, Joe Burrow, is going to have success and be lifted up together. And instead, Kyler Murray doesn't do this. Kyler Murray sits to himself. Kyler Murray puts his ear pods in, doesn't talk to any of his teammates. And then this report is exactly the kind of thing we knew was going to come out. More of it's going to come out. According to the NFL Network, Kyler Murray refused to go back into the team's playoff loss to the Rams in the fourth quarter. And this says, case in point, the playoff game here. A minute left in the game, and it had been decided. And backup Colt McCoy encouraged Murray to finish the game with his teammates. Banged up Murray said, no, that's it, I'm done. So this is what he does. He cries. He complains. Then there's reports that he says he was set up to look embarrassed by the Cardinals. He's set up for failure. Hopkins goes down. He gets disarmed like a weapon that's ready to fire. It's disarmed. Hopkins goes down. He doesn't know how to create without Hopkins. He can only roll outside the pocket, which with Hopkins, it works. So it makes him more dangerous in the pocket, even though he's not very dangerous at all inside the pocket. But when you know Kyler Murray's bread and butter is outside the pocket, and he's going to be successful because Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL outside the pocket when his quarterback is outside the pocket. And he is. I don't want to hear washed up comments. If someone comes in here and says that Kyler Murray or that DeAndre Hopkins is washed up at 29 years old, you might just get sent into timeout for at least 10 minutes. Don't do it. Don't even do it. Okay, because Hopkins still is the best or one of the best wide receivers in terms of defensive respect and getting single coverage. You've got to be out of your mind. You can't single coverage DeAndre Hopkins. This man has lived under double coverage his entire career. And maybe he won't be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. Maybe not. Maybe that's one of the wide receivers where it doesn't translate exactly pound for pound. Hey, he's a top 3 fantasy wide receiver. He's a top 3 NFL wide receiver. He is still a top 5 wide receiver in terms of commanding defensive attention, commanding defensive respect. And yes, you rip that kind of player off the team, you do expect probably not to win the Super Bowl. But you expect to win a couple games. You expect your quarterback to at least try. You expect your quarterback to lead. And Kyler Murray has done none of those things. There are options on the table this year for Kingsbury and the Cardinals that were not on the table last year. Those options are Deshaun Watson. Those options include Russell Wilson, which is weird and awkward, and interdivision trades usually don't happen, but when two quarterbacks are involved, it could possibly be something that gets brought up. And then Aaron Rodgers. Now, what the Cardinals have to offer is more than any other team has to offer. So before somebody says not going to happen, Aaron Rodgers not going to Arizona. Russell Wilson not going to Arizona. Deshaun Watson not going to Arizona. While it's not a lock that a deal's going to get done, I'll tell you that, because I don't know if Kingsbury is thinking the way we're thinking, that we need to change this dynamic or it's not going to work. This guy's not it. He's not it. And we've got to sell him as if he is it to some other team. And maybe with another team, he gets a fresh start in his own mind and he can start developing, because he still is very, very young. He's barely across his mid-20s. He's not even close to 30 yet. Kyler Murray's got a lot of time to develop and get better. The Cardinals don't have the time to wait on that, because the Cardinals are built specifically for 2022 and 2023. The Cardinals are here and ready to go. The Cardinals just need one upgrade at the quarterback position, and then we are a top 3 team in the NFC. And if anybody thinks that's not true, then you're just bringing your hometown team analyst hat on. You're putting that hat on and coming into this environment and be like, no, Cardinals can't do it. I'm a Niner fan. You can't be the Cardinals. Like, stop. The Cardinals were the best team in the entire NFL for half of a season. And they fell apart the moment DeAndre got hurt, and then Kyler unraveled. And I'm admitting Kyler doesn't have what it takes to take the distance, because if one bad thing happens, Kyler's done. Kyler unravels, he's done. The only move here is to trade Kyler Murray, and we have packages, trade offer packages that teams can't refuse. Okay? If the Green Bay Packers are dead set against trading Aaron Rodgers, doesn't mean that they can stop it, because Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have already had a conversation and an agreement. Under the table, you're trading me. You're doing your very best to trade me. If not, I'll retire. Now, he may have changed his tune since that conversation, which was 1 year ago practically. He may want to stay. He is reportedly breaking up with his girlfriend. Some of it people say are rumors, but other people confirm it. Other people say, look at the speech, and I agree. He didn't think or talk about his fiance at all during his MVP acceptance speech, and he did the year prior when he was speaking. He did speak about her, talk about her. He didn't talk about her at all, which indicates to me that, yeah, there are problems in relationship land for Aaron Rodgers and the Divergent star actress that he is reportedly still engaged to. We don't know. What does this mean? What does this mean for Deshaun Watson in a potential trade? What does this mean for Aaron Rodgers staying in Green Bay? What does this mean for what does the breakup of Aaron Rodgers' relationship mean, Smitty? Well, it could mean a lot of things, because if you know me, you know I have a psych degree. You know I break all this down from a psychological perspective. And if Aaron Rodgers is in a different headspace because him and his fiance broke up, he's going to make different decisions. It's simple. It's not rocket scientist, it's psychology. If anybody knows anything about breakups out there, you know that when you have a big traumatic experience and a severing of a part of your life that's embedded in everything you do, you either want to do two things. Two. You see that? Two. My finger, two. Two of them are up. One. You gravitate toward the familiar. So maybe he's had a change of heart. Maybe I do want to stay in Green Bay, where they've been loyal to me as a fan base. They've been loyal to me as a coaching staff. Yes, organizationally, we've got problems. We're working on it. They have improved a little, but I lost my fiance. I lost a big part of my life. I've got a lot of change going on. Maybe I do stay. Everyone needs to understand how impactful a life event like Aaron Rodgers potentially breaking up with his girlfriend, as much as you think this is like silly analysis, this has everything to do with what he wants to do next. People need to really understand that. Think about your own life and what you would be doing. Would you be going and trying to change jobs? Maybe. And that's the second one. I said number one, stay with the familiar. Sometimes when people end a relationship and they're not devastated by it, in the case of A-Rod, let's say A-Rod's kind of the one that didn't want to stay or whatever. If A-Rod's not hurt by it, if A-Rod is the instigator of the divide between him and his fiance, if it is true, which it feels like it is, or he would have mentioned her name at his MVP award acceptance speech during that speech. So I'm going to assume that there's some merit to some of these rumors. If Aaron Rodgers isn't so torn up about it, maybe he wants a change. Maybe he's like, you know what, fresh start across the board. Everybody that's been in the relationship breakup mode, and everybody watching has been in that situation. You either want familiar or you want a complete wipe of the board. Let's go move on and enjoy life in a different way. And Aaron Rodgers might very well be in that space. We don't know. We don't know. If Green Bay is told by A-Rod, I'm out, I don't want to stay, trade me, he either retires, which he's made it clear he'll do, or they trade him. And if he retires, they get nothing. Cardinals have Kyler Murray. Cardinals have a future first rounder. They would probably offer those things up for an Aaron Rodgers, and Green Bay would be crazy to turn it down. And Aaron Rodgers would be crazy to say no if other suitors don't want to give up the same kind of package. Arizona's not a bad spot for Aaron Rodgers to land. Hopkins, running game, offense that would probably cater to his style pretty well. And you would build around Aaron Rodgers or manipulate and mold the offense around Aaron Rodgers, but he would have Watson. He'd have Hopkins. He'd have Rondell Moore. He'd have Kirk. He'd have a lot of weapons. No one knows. Nobody knows. If anybody tells you they know what's going to happen, that he's staying or going, they don't know what they're talking about. They're guessing, which is fine. But they are 100% guessing. 100% guessing. Mike, you are 100% guessing. I'm guessing too, but there are multiple avenues. But I appreciate you being here anyway, Mike. Cardinals. The options on the table, Cardinals. There's an open door. Offer Kyler Murray and a first rounder for Deshaun Watson. If you won't do that, offer Kyler Murray and a first rounder for Aaron Rodgers. If you don't want to do that, figure out a way to make a trade for Russell Wilson, who's also disgruntled. And if you can't do that, God help us all in Arizona, because we are being led by a child. And this 5'8" child that can't see over the offensive line, and that's not me making fun of height. That's me telling you that this man is short and he can't see over the offensive line, because the offensive line, on average, is over 6 foot. It's a fact. He can't see over the offensive line. This child, which is also a fact because he cries all the time about everything, blames everybody, finger points, and there's multiple reports all over. This guy's not a leader. Not right now, not for us, and he's not going to lead in enough time to make this thing happen for the Cardinals, where we have a short, tight window to be a Super Bowl contending team, or at least a deep-seeded playoff team. If you don't want to accept that we have Super Bowl potential with Watson or with Aaron Rodgers, I can't help you, because the Cardinals do. A lot of teams would. Kyler Murray, right now, kind sir, and when I say kind sir, I mean baby, you are Smitty disapproved.
You've just been Smitty disapproved.
Watson, you might be Smitty disapproved too, pal, let's be honest. But until we know innocent until proven guilty in everybody's mind, that's the way the world works. I know that's not the way the NFL works. That's why we're in this situation. That's why Deshaun Watson's not playing football. The NFL is not the real world. But in the real world, innocent until proven guilty. So Watson, I don't know what's in store for you, pal, but I hope you're innocent. I hope you play football in 2022, and I hope you play for the Arizona Cardinals. I hope you play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, or I hope you play for the Denver Broncos. At least let's get Watson in an environment where he can do a lot of great things and win a lot of people fantasy football championships. Could he do something in Houston? Yeah, but less weapons, horrible organization, no future, no deep playoff hopes there in Houston. He can't do it all himself. He tries, and he almost succeeds, but Watson needs to go to Denver. He needs to go to Pittsburgh. He needs to go to Washington. Put him somewhere where he's got weapons like McLaurin, and everyone says Washington's this no-go zone for people. Look, if Washington gets Watson, they're a 12-win team. They're a 12-win team if they get Deshaun Watson. If they get a quarterback of that caliber, Russell Wilson, the Washington football team, the Washington Hogs, the Washington Commanders, the Washington Presidents, whatever.
If we get, this is the president, we are the presidents, the Washington football presidents. If we get Deshaun Watson, who's got big hands, this team will be huge.
We like to call them the Washington Presidents around here because we think that would have been more fun. But the Commanders would be a 12 or 13 win team with Deshaun Watson under center, with Russell Wilson under center. Make no mistake about it, the defense, the running game, the wide receivers, it would all come together. So that's that. Watson. Here's the report from Sports Illustrated saying that Lovie Smith noted that he wants resolution on Deshaun Watson standing with the team as soon as possible. There are things that are needed to be taken care of before the football part comes into play. We're patient. We've waited an entire year, and we just feel like this offseason it'll come to an end, and we'll get it solved, and it'll be good for both parties. So on and so on and so on. It says right here, Watson's deposition is scheduled for February 22nd. So we're looking at, 7-8 days or whatever until his deposition. His deposition will be a crucial part of where the case goes from here. Again, he's got 20-plus pending cases. Each case is individual, which means that it's not a class action that gets solved in one swoop. It is individual decisions by 20-plus people. Now, they're in civil. The thought is, okay, if you're in civil, then it most likely is an award you're looking for, so these people are probably going to settle. But who knows? Who knows? No one knows. It is over 20-plus people that are trying to accuse Watson of similar things. It is not an easy situation, and it is one reason why teams have not been knocking down the door. Because if a 2 or 3 first-round price tag is hanging over the head of Watson right now, not very many teams are willing to, with the situation going on, with the climate in the NFL, the way the NFL is right now, the way that the NFL comes down hard to try and prove a point, and they don't need bad press. They will literally, if this becomes a criminal issue, which it still can become, people don't realize that the criminal stuff is merely on hold. It doesn't mean that he's not gonna face criminal charges. People think because nothing happened criminally, it's not gonna. That's not true. The criminal side is fully awaiting the result of the civil side because the evidence is embedded in the civil claims. And if the civil claims go away, i.e., every one of the 20-plus people say, give me a check, I settle, Deshaun Watson did nothing, here's my affidavit to say that he did nothing wrong. Once all 20-plus cases are resolved and settled, if they are settled, the criminal side says, we have nothing more to look at. Nothing happened. Bye-bye. Case closed. Case closed. Case closed. But if things don't settle, there's evidence on the table the criminal will pursue. That's what's going on. People like to pretend they know. They don't know. That's the situation. Watson's still not out of the woods from a criminal perspective. Teams are gun shy about giving 2 or 3 first rounders, mortgaging their entire future on a player they probably think, and a lot of people will probably agree, had something to do with some of the claims. Like, let's be honest, do we feel he's totally innocent or totally guilty? I'm sure most people are in between, and that's just an opinion. No one has facts. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But there are 20-plus claims of tremendous detail. And if anybody just wants to vaguely blanket over this and say, I'm going to gloss over this, he's innocent, this is crap, these are all rumors. Like, have you read all of the affidavits? Have you read some of it? I've read through a lot of it, okay? There's some crazy details in here. A lot of things kind of feel like they make sense. A lot of things feel like they don't. I don't know. I know there's probably some truth to some of the claims, okay? Because this is over 20 plus instances of way more than 20 where this dude's pursued people on Instagram for a private massage session, which doesn't happen. You ask a pro athlete. I've had pro athletes come on. They say, look, your team handles that. You have team masseuses that come in. What's this guy doing on Instagram? DMing like hundreds potentially of women to say, come over and give me a amateur massage. You know, like, let's be real. So there's some concern that there's issues that may not even go away or may be settled, but teams are worried about offering too much. In the case of the Cardinals, you can offer a first rounder, that's 1, not 3, and Kyler Murray, who's a problem anyway, and get Deshaun Watson. And the Texans would take it because they don't. The organization, Lovie Smith wants Deshaun in there. The fans probably want Deshaun in there in general. The team probably for sure wants Deshaun in there. They want to win. But the organization as a whole is trying to hold Deshaun Watson back before anything's even proven. He is innocent until proven guilty in all of our minds. We all probably can agree on that. This is the way the world needs to operate. The NFL operates differently. And the NFL operates in a way that's unfair to a lot of us from the outside looking in. They can do what they want. It's their thing. It's their situation. They can do what they want. Deshaun Watson would be a fine acquisition for the Cardinals. I'm saying Kingsbury, make it happen. Let's hit some voicemails and get to these bad boys. We've got Kyle.
Where do you think we could take Joe Burrow since he didn't have a crazy game in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, we talked about this, Silver Rapture and I, and a few have mentioned this over and over that it's great. It's great news that Burrow didn't explode in the Super Bowl. It's great news that, in a way, that Chase didn't have 3 TDs or at least 2 TDs or 150 and a touchdown. Like, it's good that there were mediocre performances in a way if you want a silver lining for that Bengal loss. Because now people aren't going to be, like, at the edge of their seat ready to reach on Burrow and reach on Jamar. In fact, you might see a lot of people, because Cooper Kupp did so well and continued to do well and had no ups and downs, really, that people are going to be like, Jamar Chase, no. Like, I like him, but he vanished. Cooper Kupp didn't. And that's fine. In redraft, it's acceptable. Cooper Kupp, the number one wide receiver, I'm totally fine with that. In fact, if I've got a situation where I'm drafting at number 7 and I could take either wide receiver, Jamar Chase or Cooper Kupp, and there's 2 different leagues, I'm taking Kupp in one in redraft and I'm taking Jamar in the other in redraft. I want both. Cooper Kupp is proven he's going to be the number 1 to number 2 or number 3 wide receiver, and if he stays healthy, almost lock in 2022. He's older, so Dynasty's a little different. Yeah. So you know, I think it's a great thing for us fantasy owners that we don't have to look at inflated values. Burrow probably 5 or 6 round range. Jamar Chase now might not go 5 or 6. He might go like 9. You know, it's a big deal.
Hey, what's up, Smitty? Happy Tuesday. It's Tariq. Hope all is going well. What's your thoughts on Rashad Penny being the lead back for the Seahawks going into 2021?
I think, and Mike, what's with the negativity today, Mike? I mean, you're shooting down a lot of things. Who cares what kind of game Burrow had? It's good information, though, Mike. It is. It helps guide ADP. It definitely helps guide the thinking. What's going to go on with ADP? Mike, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, pal? I thought Mike was normally Mr. Positive around here. Mike, hit me with something positive, Mike. I know you can do it, pal. What was Tariq's question? I got sidetracked.
Hey, what's up, Smitty? Happy Tuesday. It's Tariq. Hope all is going well.
You're fine, Mike.
What's your thoughts on Rashad Penny?
Oh, Penny.
Being the...
I'm just joking with you, Mike. Sometimes I go to the community for some content, and Mike, you're providing some. Penny, I like him, but he's had a little time to prove it and hasn't proven it. That does not mean he can't continue his success that he's having this year. You know, injuries have held him back, so you gotta wonder, will he stay healthy? That's number one. That would probably be the biggest obstacle standing in his way. Will he stay healthy? Will he be able to hold on to the job? Will he, see competition? Like, those are things that are tough to suggest at this point. But I will say, and if I pull up his historical game log here, Penny, Rashad Penny, he's been in the league now for 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. So he's a fourth-year veteran. And he's never had over 750 yards rushing. He's averaged 5.6 yards per carry, which is good. He's never had more than 6 touchdowns, but he did have 6 touchdowns, and his biggest totals in 2021. And in fairness, he's never, played a ton. And even when he played a lot of games, so like in 2018, 14 games, and in 2019, 10 games, he wasn't given starter touches. So he hasn't really had the opportunity, but he's kind of stepped on himself every time he's had an opportunity or got hurt. And do I think we should give him a shot? Yeah. But I don't know where I'm drafting him. Like, am I drafting him as a secure, cemented in running back 2? Probably not. Probably not. Will I take him as a flex in one league? Yeah, in one league, but not in every league. Like a high-end flex or high-end running back 3, like in one league, I would. I don't mind him at all at that value. I think people could overdraft him. I think the scarcity of running back right now, especially with Kamara potentially being taken off the board for 2022, we're looking at maybe Penny having, in some people's minds, low-end running back 2 value. And for me, I'm out. I'm not going near him at that value. I think that value is way too costly. I think he's a decent flex, but I think anybody investing too much is going to get burned. Just more likely to get burned if you're putting in, that kind of value. So, good question, though.
Hey, Smitty. If Andrew Whitworth decides to retire, what's your take on Cooper Kupp for 2022? Will that have any effect on Matthew Stafford?
We got to worry about a lot of things in terms of the Rams keeping it together. There's a lot of potential departures. So I think it comes down to more than just one player. Like, they've got to pull it all together. They got to try and retain as many people as possible. There's 2 lines of thinking. You win a Super Bowl, you either want to run it back and you feel familiar with your team. Odell Beckham Jr. made it very clear walking into the Super Bowl game before he tore his ACL. Odell Beckham Jr. was like, this is my home. I'll take a discount to stay. I finally feel accepted. I finally feel productive. I finally feel like I am who I am. And he proved it. Like, we all doubted Odell. Failure after failure after failure. Walking into that Rams situation, as excited as a lot of us were, everybody still was like, I doubt Odell Beckham Jr. And while we're talking about Odell, I doubt Odell Beckham Jr. I'm rooting for him. I will definitely like potentially grabbing this guy and seeing what he can do. Who is it that loved Odell City be the number 1 wide receiver and going forward when he was acquired? Wasn't it what was his name? Who was it? I forget. Somebody in here that hasn't been back for a while. He's a total regular. Who was it? I forget. But Odell had a phenomenal stint with the Rams, and he wants to return. Then you have other people that, like, they feel like, okay, I need to go get the bag. I'm going to go elsewhere, and then they walk away from a Super Bowl contending team to go elsewhere, and then they don't have big success, but they get big money. So it's tough to say what's going to happen to this Rams team. A lot of departures potentially on the horizon, but Cooper Kupp should be fine in the end, bro. I mean, you're talking about several degrees of separation from Cooper Kupp. Everything trickles down. Stafford needs to have a good year, but even if Stafford's getting rushed more or not as successful, he leans on Cooper Kupp. He laser targets on Cooper Kupp. And I think, if the team struggles, and they get behind in games, that could potentially mean more passing in the third and fourth quarter, and it all kind of falls together. So I don't think I would let anything like that affect my value of Cooper Kupp. Quarterback is no degree of separation. That's exactly tied to Cooper Kupp. So if Stafford went down, then Cooper Kupp will be completely impacted. But as Stafford gets impacted, and that could be if he loses linemen and he gets hurt, then yeah, he's down and out. That could really crush Cooper Kupp. But that's a lot of what ifs and a lot of insinuating going on. I think that the Rams will do their best to if they don't retain people, they will replace people fairly well, and Kupp is going to be fine.
Hey Smitty, it's Kenny.
Kenny.
I need your help. I need you to convince me that I need to draft Gibson again, because I just keep passing on this guy in mocks, and I look at it afterwards and I think, am I making a mistake by letting this guy get by me?
I'm not convincing you to take Gibson. You gotta be out of your mind. I like Gibson. I do like Gibson. But am I banking on Gibson in any sense of the word? No. Is Gibson somebody that I think people should not like stray away from? Like, does he have value? Anybody got any more questions? Drop them. Does he have value? Yeah. Like, could he be a running back one? Certainly could be. Do I draft him anywhere close to running back one value? Absolutely not. Do I draft him as a running back two? In some cases. I'm so worried about him that in some cases I will not take him in multiple leagues. Like, I'll take him in one league. If I'm doing like 10 leagues, I'll take him in 10%, 15% of my leagues, baby. But that's it. Like, I'm not going to load up on Gibson. I'm not pro Gibson. I'm not like banking on this guy just exploding back and being a high-end running back one. He has the potential to be, but I'm not banking on it by any means. He's very, very risky. Very, very worrisome. And there's a lot of reasons why. Number one, he didn't really get used at all in college. And he wasn't really, you could say he was a starter, but you look at his numbers and it's shocking. College career stats. Let's pull up Gibson's college career stats. You'll be astonished. As to what the football team was thinking drafting this guy to be their starter. And I credit them to seeing something in him and giving him a shot, and he is phenomenal. He's really good. But look at his college stats at Memphis. The dude had 38 receptions. Where's my circle when I need it? There it is. Look at this. Dude had 38 receptions. 38 receptions in 2019. 6 the year before. Rushes. 33 rushes. This man caught 44 balls and ran the ball 33 times. That's it. And the Washington, at the time, football team, now the Commanders, thought this is our starting running back in the NFL. Like, give him some credit for seeing talent in this guy who had very little track record. This guy's not coming out as a starting running back at all. 33 rushes in college? 33, that's it? And this is your starting running back? Like, that is ballsy. But what it told me, and I said this when he was a rookie, I did get on board last year, I'll admit. But I said this coming into his rookie year. I said, look, it's scary. It's scary banking on a guy as your running back that has run the ball 33 times because there's no track record. Even if there's upside and skill, you don't have the track record to prove the pedigrees there that he can be a long-term running back at the NFL level, because being a long-term running back at the NFL level, it's hard. You know, you almost need to have like a resume for it, or it's a very risky proposition. Case in point, he hasn't worked out yet. 70 people in the room, 26 likes, says Terry. 26 likes! Terry's not happy. If you guys could punch the thumbs up, it does help the channel. If I'm giving you any enjoyment at all, Please at least try and match the 70 viewers with 70 thumbs up. That really does help the channel. So punch it if you can. Stats don't show, but yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Give them credit for seeing the talent that is Antonio Gibson, but also the alarming part of Gibson is that he has no track record in college to prove that he could hold up or be a running back. Because it doesn't matter how your film pops. If you pop on film, that's great. But if you can't prove you can stay healthy as a running back, it's a different position. If you're not playing and staying and proving to be healthy at the running back position, you have nothing to bring to the table in terms of longevity. That argument, at least that side of the argument. You can be as talented in the world. You can be the most talented guy on film, but how talented can you really be on film when you've caught, just 44 passes and run the ball only 33 times? Your film could look great, but it's very limited film. So it's tough to buy. It's tough to buy in a guy that has just that little resume. And in fantasy, I like him. He's very talented. He's proven to be electric on the field. But we have to really be concerned about how high, what kind of price tag we're going to put on the dude. Closing out Odell, NFL Network, Ian Rappaport reports Odell tore his ACL. We knew that was probably the case. Tough for him to come back in time. It's going to be tough. Even if he tries to pull a Cam Akers and rush back, not going to be a good look for future injuries. Cam Akers looks awful right now on the field, 2.8 yards per carry on a massive amount of carries. It's not like he's carried the ball 20 times or 10 times. Cam Akers doesn't look the same. You got to wonder what Cam's doing to his body. I explained this over and over. People just didn't want to listen. Cam could still potentially have a good 2022 season. I'm not saying he can't, but he came back and started wearing down the parts on this vehicle when things weren't in good alignment, and this could potentially lead to injuries that wouldn't have occurred because he's out there rushing it and playing when he's not 100% ready. And Cam Akers, I say Cam Newton, Cam Akers is completely not ready. I don't care what anybody says. His explosion looks pretty good. Let's be honest, coming off an Achilles tear, but he's not ready. Your body can't be ready. There are evolutions and advancements in medicine for sure, but you cannot possibly be ready. You could be ready to run. You could be ready to look like you're getting there, like, oh my God, he looks phenomenal in practice. To go out and get hit and take hits and explode and have 300-pound linemen drive you into the ground, not good for his potential ability to stay healthy moving forward. And this dips into 2022. 2022. It's going to be massively. Now, we know 49er, we know you're a pro Gibson guy. You have to be, because he's an underdog. Yeah, you have to be. It's Cam Akers. It's Gibson. And I'm not saying you're wrong in liking some of these guys. I'm just saying I could tell Swift, anybody. Yes, I know the catch passes. You're gonna say anybody doubted. You love them. You're 49er. If I'm ever an underdog, I kind of am in the business still. That's probably why you're here. 49er likes my show because I'm the underdog. If I ever become big time, if this show becomes the best show in fantasy football country, which it should, 49er is going to leave. He only likes me because the show is an underdog still. Oh, 49er, you crack me up. I guess you can justify taking Gibson, Akers in the 4 or 5 rounds if they fall. Yeah, I mean, that's appropriate evaluation, but the problem is people are taking Akers in the 2nd round. Maybe not right now because of how bad he's looked the last couple of games, but literally like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had Akers going in round 2. People are just reaching. Cam Akers nowhere near ready to play. Him playing set him back along. Yeah, I mean, you could tell he's probably damaging a lot right now trying to play. Did you see AB posted an Instagram with Lamar? Yeah, that's old news. There's a lot of people talking about that. I don't know if there's another one, if you're suggesting that. But yeah, there's talk about that. Look, if AB goes to Baltimore, first of all, Baltimore's got to want that. But if AB goes to Baltimore, that's not going to work out. Lamar doesn't make wide receivers consistent. Lamar isn't consistent himself. And that situation, AB's going to be unhappy very, very quick. McCaffrey is a third round next year in draft. No, he's going to go in the first round. I'm not saying I agree with it, but he's a top 10, top 11 overall pick, bro. Don't even think you're going to get McCaffrey past in a worst case scenario or best case scenario, however you're looking at it, like 15 overall, 14, 15 overall. But probably many are taking him 1, 4, 5. There's no way McCaffrey makes it to the third round. And I'd say there's only like a 10% chance he makes it into round 2, bro. So I hate to burst your bubble if you were thinking, pal, you're going to get McCaffrey as a third drafted player. You will have a hard time getting him as a second drafted player. Very hard. First round. People are taking this man in the first round. Keep track of ACL injuries this season and fade all of them, says Prime. ACL tears are not easy things to come back from. People like to pretend that what Adrian Peterson did can be repeated, but clearly it cannot, because I told you to fade Barkley. I hope most of you listened, but a lot of people said, we're not drafting Barkley for week 1, Smitty. We're drafting Barkley for future weeks, like week 17. Barkley was the biggest, easiest avoid to see coming from miles away. The easiest avoid, I think, in the past 10 years. It got so obvious that this guy was not ready to play football, and everyone just raced to him because he was Barkley. And I don't understand it. I did what I could. I screamed as loud as I could. McDaniel, new head coach Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins, said that second-year wide receiver Jaylen Waddle, I would start him at fantasy, he said. The easiest way to get yards is to give it to a really talented player, McDaniel said. We've got a lot of upside here. Look up Mike with the positivity. Mike, appreciate it. I was just kidding with you earlier, by the way. Appreciate you. Not a Smitty for Barkley and Najee calls. I mean, I don't hit them all. I like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to miss some and you're going to hit some, but boy, did we hit a lot last year. We had a good year. Waddle is going to be attempted. I repeat, attempted. I don't want to hear a bunch of people complain and cry and get upset here. Waddle is going to be attempted to be used like Deebo Samuel, I believe, with this Mike McDaniel, who had a big part in how the Niners ran and functioned. And this guy is going to be in for a huge year, Waddle. And I don't know where to draft him. I kind of feel like Waddle's going to get way overdrafted, but if he doesn't, he'll be insane. He'll be a really, really good wide receiver to acquire and to have, as long as you don't have to pay like wide receiver 1 value. You know, you have to leave room for improvement. You have to leave room for disappointing games and adjustment. And you got to factor in that it's Tua throwing him the football. But Waddle could be used on the ground a lot like Deebo. McDaniel was such an integral part of that 49er offense, people don't even know. Like, I'm wondering if the Niner offense will look even exactly the same anymore, because this guy, McDaniel, is supposed to be a genius in terms of how he uses, how he manipulates the X's and O's. This guy knows what he's doing. So McDaniel is a great find for the Dolphins. I just hope he's set up for success. I hope that he moves on from Tua quickly, because Tua ain't the answer. Maybe he gets the most out of him, but I don't know. But Waddle has a bright future, and McDaniel was a phenomenal uptick in Waddle's value. Just phenomenal, because this guy had a hand in making Deebo what Deebo is. So get ready for a big season out of Waddle. We just hope he doesn't get drafted too high. Kyler Murray. This guy, Kyler Murray. Allen Robinson not expected back in Chicago. Big surprise. Guy freaking vanished. Who's Allen Robinson, by the way? Who is he? I don't know who it is. I kind of remember a guy that used to be pretty good that no longer is relevant, and I kind of feel like his situation, like if anybody thinks, he's going to go somewhere and be elite or electric, like the Chargers. I mean, I'll be excited if he goes to the Chargers, but at the same time, do I think it's going to work out? No. Why? Because he had no reason not to succeed when Mooney was doing it. When Fields came in, the excuses were off the table. He literally did nothing no matter how the situation changed. So you got to say, like, what's going to be different? You know, it goes to a different team. Wide receivers struggle their first year usually changing teams. Not everybody has an Odell Beckham Jr. fit. I mean, Odell struggled at first, but he's a unique wide receiver, very talented. And he changed really quickly. He picked things up quickly, but Odell struggled right away. A lot of wide receivers, and I would bet that Allen Robinson's going to be one of them, struggle their first year with a new team. Don't bank on Allen Robinson in 2022. I don't care where he goes. I don't care if he goes to KC. Everyone says KC, and you're not wrong in initially thinking that could be a good spot, right? Like KC, high potent offense, Mahomes, but going to KC wouldn't be a good thing. There's not enough room for him to be consistent. And we learned our lesson. I learned my lesson hard with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, is that they're different than they used to be. I thought Andy Reid would resort back to the Andy Reid that utilized running backs to the tune of Jamal Charles and those type of outputs. But no, Reid's been very different lately, and there's too many mouths to feed, and everything goes through Mahomes, and that's on me. Okay, and I've taken a lot of laps for that, and I admit that my belief in Clyde Edwards-Helaire's talent, which I still believe in, it just doesn't translate in that offense consistently. And then he's got to stay healthy. A-Rob going to KC would be a nightmare. A-Rob to Indy seems more realistic. Maybe. Still, I'm not buying. I'm not buying A-Rob. Everybody else can buy A-Rob. I'm not going near A-Rob. Ryan with the super chat. Thank you, Ryan. Love this show. Had the worst day of my life, and this is where I come to cheer up. Thank you, Smitty. Thank you, Ryan. Sorry you had the worst day of your life, pal. I hope things get better for you. I hope that your team acquires some kind of talent or trades for somebody like Deshaun Watson, and you get an integral part of your squad upgraded. What's your team, Ryan? What's your team? Are you fantasy only, or do you have a team? But appreciate your super chat, pal. McKinnon over Clyde. I mean, some will say. I think Clyde needs to get traded to Cincinnati because Joe Burrow loves him. Joe Burrow would use him. Joe Burrow loves Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I think Clyde could thrive there, but Clyde's got a lot to prove before anybody. I mean, he'll be a value. He'll be a value. The question is, will you want to take another value over that value? But he's definitely not going to go high anymore. Mike says he hopes your day gets better, as do all of us. Sorry to hear about your day, says Spacula. Look at everybody coming together. That is going to do it for this episode of the Fantasy Football Show. This has been Tuesday's edition of the show. I can't thank you all enough for being a part of the show. We are growing huge. Our Super Bowl live stream is at 29,800 views. So it's, gaining more each day, but now it's trickling because it's kind of outdated. A lot of the content, it was the Super Bowl pregame. But we had 29,800 views on that video. So awesome job. Keep spreading the word. Please hit the like button on your way out the door. It does help your boy Smitty a ton. And also make sure you get on over to Underdog Fantasy by way of my link at smitty1.com, because we will be best ball drafting. I have a private draft. If you want to be involved in the private draft, DM me right now on Instagram and I will send you the link. But you got to go to smitty1.com. You got to click on the Underdog banner and you got to jump and get signed up and get ready so that you can jump into these best ball drafts. We're going to probably do one, I think, tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll do a best ball draft on the show, the Wednesday show. You'll want to be signed up and ready ahead of time. So go to smitty1.com, click on the Underdog banner. Let me see if I can get the Underdog banner on here so you know what it looks like. 1 second. Let me drag that banner over here. But you'll want to get signed in now and ready. Make your minimum deposit. It's like $10 or $15 minimum deposit. The drafts we'll do will be $5 best ball drafts, and we're going to roll through tons of them all off season long. And we're doing the $5 ones because I can make private 12-team drafts where I drop the link in the chat. We all fill up the draft, and then we go from there. So I just want to make sure everybody gets signed up and ready to go so that you don't have any delays trying to get a spot. So just go to smitty1.com, click on this Underdog Fantasy banner right here. If you go to Underdog without using the link at smitty1.com, make sure you use promo code Smitty. Get signed up, get ready. We're best ball drafting all off season long. Bunch of 12-team drafts over and over and over. $5 pays you like 60 something, and I know those aren't huge pots, but when you do 25 of them or 40 of them, they're going to add up. And if you start making moves and doing things like drafting guys like Waddle way later than his ADP will eventually climb to, that's the best time to best ball draft. There's no better time to draft in best ball than early, before these guys like Waddle and you name it. Javante's going like in the second round right now. Javante's number 3 or 4 overall. If Aaron Rodgers or Wilson or Watson land in Denver, or Gordon gets cut or traded or something, you got to take advantage of this in best ball. So, Jamar, the like button says swaggy. Ryan, hope you have a good day. Smitty, biggest dark horse for you. You'll see, bro. I like Rashad White as a running back. He's my biggest dark horse running back. I think he's got good Alvin Kamara traits. Appreciate all of you. Thank you, Ryan, for the super chat. Hope your day is better. Hit the like button on your way out the door and comment. Please comment. Please drop a comment. Javante's top 10 pick is right now. No, he's not swaggy. He's going traditionally around. It dips into the first round, but like between 10 and 15. Like he's oftentimes a second round draft pick, even on the show when we're doing mock drafts. So you need to take full advantage of that while you can. Maybe on Underdog he is going in round 1. I'd venture to say he's probably bouncing in between round 1 and round 2. The top of round 2, bottom of round 1. People are just a little bit gun shy about it. They're like, I don't know what's fully going on. I like him, but I don't want to make him a top 5 pick. That will change. Comment. I will get to every comment within the first 12 to 24 hours if you drop a comment now. Later.